Okay, I call this meeting to order at 7:08 p.m. We're going to start with the approval of the agenda. Does anyone have any amendments to the agenda? Yes. Have you?
Sorry. Can I strike bag funding?
Diego? Any more amendments? Yes, Tommy. It's a voting item. Was that a motion? You repeat it with the motion and everything. Tommy motions, Tamim seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Javier and Nico, are you voting?
We can't hear you all. We can only hear you, Adam.
Oh, Tommy, can you talk again? Just to... You're right. You're right. You're right. Can you re-motion, Diego? Can you make sure they hear you?
We still can't hear if y'all are speaking. Um,
Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Check, check.
yes, we can hear y'all.
I'm gonna call a 5 minute recess just so we figure out all the mic stuff. And we'll return at 7:16 p.m. Is there any opposition to that? Perfect. See you later.
Wait, just to test it, can the Zoom hear this one?
Yes.
Okay, awesome, amazing. It's fixing.
Sorry, everyone. We have to wait like 2 more minutes just for the recess to finish. Okay. Let's get back to it. Diego, can you remotion followed by Tommy's remotion?
Yes, I motion to add a letter in support for renaming the Student Activity Center to Dolores Huerta Hall to today's agenda.
I second.
Diego motions, Tamim seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. And all abstaining, please raise your hands. With an 11-0 vote, that is approved. Tommy?
Right, I motion to add a letter in opposition to the Westwood Neighborhood Council's 2025 boundary expansion proposal to the agenda.
I second.
Tommy motions, Kiara seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. And all abstaining, please raise your hands. With a 12-0 vote, that is approved. Have you?
Hi, I'd like to motion to add a discretionary funds transfer to the EVP office for the USSA Legislative Conference.
I second.
Have you motions, Tamim seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. And all abstaining, please raise your hands. With an 11-0 vote, that is approved. Bethany, do you have any changes?
Hi, yes. Can I please scratch capital contingency allocations as well as contingency allocations for this week? Thank you.
Yes. Any other amendments to the agenda? Josh?
I motion to add Simran Mirza to the appointments list for Elections Board Director of External Relations.
I second.
Josh motions, Kiara seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. And all abstaining, please raise your hands. With a 12-0 vote, that is approved. Do you have any more? Yes, Josh.
And then can I also move Sophia Sada to first on the appointments list? And can I also add a bylaw change for Article 2?
I think we have to motion for the appointment because it's an action item. But
She's already on the agenda. I just need to move her up on the list.
move her up.
Yeah.
It's fine. We don't have to. We can just go first. We don't have to change the agenda for that. It's fine.
Okay, sounds good.
What was the second one?
An Article 2 bylaw change.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Any other amendments? Seeing none, could we please get it approved? Tamim?
Motion to approve the 11th March 2025 agenda.
I second.
Who was that? Was it you? Tamim motions, Kiara seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. And all abstaining, please raise your hands. With a 12-0 vote, that is approved. We have minutes from March 4th. Is there any opposition to approving those minutes? Seeing none, we're going to go into public comments. Just a reminder for everyone that's here for public comment. Each public commenter has 2 minutes to speak once, and we have 30 minutes allocated total towards public comment. Some of our community guidelines include challenge ideas, not individuals, use gender inclusive and respectful language, and freedom of speech does not mean freedom from accountability. With that being said, do we have anyone that's here in person for public comment? Please raise your hands. We'll start there and then there. Yes, you, sorry.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here today. My name is Cora Murray. I am a senior at UCLA. I'm actually graduating this quarter, and I am here to express my strong support for the Bruin Universal Access Transit Pass referendum, which will be presented later today. I had the absolute privilege of working on the previous referendum that passed 2 years ago. I was one of the outreach directors for that referendum. And in my limited time, I want to talk about one specific thing that I did as the outreach coordinator, which was I spoke to hundreds of student organizations on campus. These ranged from engineering, health, arts, cultural orgs, basic needs orgs. And everywhere I went, I came away with a stronger support for the UPass and a wider understanding of how this would benefit the UCLA community. Every student I talked to brought up a new point. Either it was positive or negative. Most of the time it was positive because it's a great program. But it really touches the lives of so many students. And I just really encourage you to think about all of the different facets that this upholds for UCLA. It supports students' well-being, allows them to get out into the LA community, which is very important this year, allows them to breathe cleaner air and, be part of the LA community in a way that is impossible if you can't afford to have a car or you can't afford to go on long bus rides. Commuter buses are expensive. So I encourage you all to support and support the UCLA student experience at large. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next public commenter, White. Yes.
Hi, thank you for having me here today. I'm Jess. I'm one of the directors for the Facilities Commission and Access on Board and a member of the Disabled Student Union. As a disabled student here at UCLA, I'm here to talk about the resolution to demand increased funding and improve services for Bruin access. As a disabled student, I rely on UCLA to properly allocate accommodations to me to continue being a student here. And hearing about how UCLA has tried to shirk financial responsibility for the Bruin access accommodation is absolutely shameful in my opinion, especially because it is a legally mandated accommodation. So I'm standing here today to ask that USAC not only pledges to provide their support to help disabled students acquire the Bruin access accommodation, but to continue holding UCLA accountable for these accommodations and to continue supporting disabled students. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public commenters? Please raise your hands. Yes, you first, and then Carly.
I'm ready. I'm here to speak in support of the increased funding of CARE. This is a bundle package under both CARE, which is the Center for Assault Resources and Education on Campus, and the Student Wellness Commission. I'm a member of Ignite, and having been to the CARE certificate program, I've experienced the kindness of the CARE advocates who are willing to accompany our students when they go to meetings with the Title IX office so that they may defend their rights as survivors. And I also know that they are fully committed to organizing workshops for counseling as survivors undergo their traumatic experiences and find a sense of peace with the advocates on campus. CARE, however, is severely underfunded, and the Student Wellness Commission is a space which could assist for that. The Student Wellness Commission is here to elevate the well-being of our students, and I believe that the well-being of our students when it comes to mental health should not be a privilege but a basic need. And so when it comes to CARE, I believe that we should, and I urge you, to vote on a proposition that would not only increase this funding, but also elevate student voices as well, so that our students do not have to only be subjected to the repressive measures of a Title IX reform, which would put them under criminal undergoings, but instead have the care of advocates who believe them and who will approach them through a trauma-informed space. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me. My name's Carly Oppenheimer, and I'm a third-year political science student here at UCLA. I also, with Hene, am the policy chair for Ignite at UCLA, and we're here to advocate for the increased funding to CARE, which is Campus Assault Resources and Education. CARE was established here and across all UCs back in 2014, and they serve as an invaluable resource to survivors all across UCLA, but across all UC campuses, and they need funding desperately. At this rate, the closest rape treatment center to UCLA is 4.6 miles, which, so sorry. Our transportation system currently is being provided through SMRTC, Santa Monica Rape Treatment Center. That's the closest rape treatment center to campus, which is also a piece of misinformation that a lot of people are misguided with. Ronald Reagan doesn't provide rape test kits to students, and so it's increasingly valuable that we allow students to receive free transportation to Santa Monica Rape Treatment Center, and right now that's something that CARE is incapable of providing to students due to their lack of funding. In addition to this, only about 1 in every 10 students is being advocated for through the current facility members of full-time staff employed at the care facility here on campus at UCLA. And so it's an invaluable resource that we stand to represent, we stand to support. I can't think of anything I would rather stand here and advocate for. They serve all people of all backgrounds, and this increase in funding would further allow them to increase their intersectionality efforts and increase programs like the extension program, the peer facilitator program, and the care mentor program that Hene and I had just received our training from. It serves as a resource to educate students everywhere on assault resources, not just at UCLA, but how to handle them in life and challenges to all survivors everywhere. So yeah, I urge you to vote yes on this referendum and support the increased funding to care. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public commenters? Layla and then Black Hoodie.
Hello. My name's Layla. I'm the chapter chair of CalPERG here at UCLA, and I wanted to give a quick update this week about what we've been up to. But yesterday we just got back from Sacramento, where we had our annual lobby conference, and we interacted with 85 different state legislative offices, including our campus reps, Senator Ben Allen and Assemblymember Zabur. We lobbied on ocean protections, keeping harmful chemicals out of food packaging, investing in climate solutions, and protecting access to solar energy. We also had our 2-day statewide conference in Davis, where we held trainings on a variety of skills, from planning campaigns to working with the media. And we also planned out events for Youth Earth Week, which is next month. We're planning to do a sustainable fashion event, an event about protecting our bees, as well as an oceans event in partnership with a local high school and community college. We were also so excited to see Javi and the rest of the EVP crew at the Capitol yesterday. So much student activism, love that. Also, last week I was able to participate as a panelist in the public comment workshop ahead of this upcoming UC Regents meeting. So thank you to Gen Rep 2 and EVP for having me at that. And yeah, thank you guys.
Everyone, my name is Megan. I am a fourth-year communications student, and for those of you who don't remember me, I presented on this council or to this council last quarter. But I am the president of Brew and Dine, a student-run organization that recovers all overproduced food from the dining halls and redistributes it to anyone in the UCLA community for free. And I'm here to strongly express my support for allocation of funding to Brew and Dine through the emergency relief referendum. Currently, Brew and Dine is funded by a Cal Recycle grant that is going to expire by the end of this year. And without this referendum, we risk losing the ability to hold our events. And just to give a little bit more background of the impact that we have on campus, since fall of 2023, Brew and Dine has recovered over 20,000 pounds of food and served 13,000 meals to students and janitorial staff. And honestly, anyone who comes to our events, because we have like a no questions policy. Food insecurity is something that's really stigmatized, and we do not want to perpetuate that stigma. So we welcome everyone to our events, and we hold events every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And with this funding, we will hopefully expand. Currently, we recover only on Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursday nights. And just to give that scope, like there's so much food being wasted. We only recover 3 meal times per week, and already that's 20,000 pounds of food. So with this referendum, we hope to expand the locations we recover from, as well as the frequency. And we're very honored to be packaged with a referendum with other basic needs initiatives. And we believe that this referendum can serve to uplift all of the basic needs efforts on campus and that our students so desperately need. Food and security and GPA has been linked together. So I feel like our service is invaluable to those who are trying to pursue education without having to worry about knowing where their next meal will come from. Thank you.
Do you have anyone else that's here for comment? Yes, in the black hoodie.
Hi, I'm Justin Shu. I'm a first year civil engineering major here at UCLA, and I'm a part of the student intern program at the Institute of Transportation Engineers. And I'm also here to talk in favor of the UPass. I'll keep it quick. Just to make clear that this is something that's actually being used, I have here on tap2go.net my ride history, and you can see all of the times if you register your card that you've used your UPass. And for me, I have 133 different uses since the beginning of this year. So it just goes to show it is being used. I want to say that as someone who is from LA, I'm close enough to be able to take the bus home. And for commuter students who are also doing the same thing every single day, it would disproportionately affect them if they were not to have this free resource to be able to get to and from campus every day. And then also it's just very important as another way to take cars off of the road. And obviously we don't like the traffic in LA. So if you are also in favor of keeping other options other than cars and keeping the roads clean and more empty, which is important for the environment as well, then the UPass is a very important tool that we have to encourage people to get out of their cars. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else that's here in person for public comment? Yes. Yes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gabby. I'm a second year civil engineering major, also talking in favor of the UPass. I live in East LA, but I live in the dorms and rely on the UPass to go home very often to see my family and also to go to doctor's appointments. I don't have access to a car, so it's very important for me to use transit to go to where I need to go. And my story isn't limited to just myself. There are other students who have to rely on transit to get to where they need to be. Additionally, speaking off what the other person previously mentioned, LA traffic is insufferable. We all need other options besides cars to travel, and the UPass provides many students the opportunity to travel across LA, not just for necessity, but even just leisure to go explore LA. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe you had one more. Yes.
Hello, my name is Joanne. I am one of the co-internal vice presidents from Brundyne, and I'm here to express my support for the emergency relief referendum, specifically for aiming to allocate funding towards Brundyne. To kind of echo some of what Megan said, the services that we provide on campus are essential to a lot of students. A lot of our diners are recurring diners, and we also bring in new diners every week. And just for kind of reference of the scale of our impact, since fall of 2023, so over the course of the past year and a half, we've served 21,000 pounds of food and 14,000 meals. And this is primarily just from the 3 buffet dining halls on the Hill alone, in addition to some external food from Kirkhoff. As Megan said, we're aiming to expand our operations, which this funding would really support. But at the foundation, the key component of this referendum and why it's needed is because without it, Brundyne will struggle to maintain its operations for the long term. And our goal is to kind of have Brundyne be established as this permanent organization on campus, because food should be accessible to all. Food waste should be eliminated on our campus, and we help the university in achieving that goal. And so by introducing this fund through a referendum, we can help with supporting our long-term stability. So if you guys are interested in supporting students' basic needs at the most fundamental level of food, please strongly express your support for this referendum. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes. Go ahead. Yes.
Hello, everyone. My name is, let me fix this, sorry. Hello, everyone. My name is Natalie Ramos. I am a second year mechanical engineering major, and I am here to speak in favor of the UPass. I think it's something that we should continue to protect. It's super essential. I'm not from here. I'm from 3 hours up north. I don't have a car. I'm here basically on a tight budget, right? I can't afford to spend any more towards, allocating money for transportation or for travel, or no one can pick me up to go to school or to go back home. And the UPass is essential in providing me these routes to get home or to access other parts of LA. And I also know that I'm not the only one who uses it. I know all my friends as well use it, not only for leisure or for accessing campus, but they also use it for their projects, for seeing LA. I know they have to visit museums. It becomes essential to their education. So I really hope that you guys continue the UPass program, and I hope you guys protect it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any other public commenters that are here in person? Do we have anyone online that's here for public comment? Yes, Rosa.
Hi, my name is Roxas Hayes, and I'm a disabled transfer student with junior standing who is a disability studies major. I am also coordinator for the Disabled Student Union. I'm here to speak in support of the resolution demanding increased funding and improved services for Bruin Access. I have experienced personally the brunt of the problems with Bruin Access as a disabled student who relies on it as an accommodation, which includes up to 2-hour plus long wait times, frequently having no rides available, rides being frequently canceled due to a variety of reasons, etc. Because students who rely on Bruin Access to get to their classes, their meetings, appointments, and more are unable to get to them on time or at all due to the difficulties experienced with Bruin Access, students are suffering. The only solution, if not improving the funding situation with Bruin Access, is increasing the availability for hybrid access to those who need it. Thank you. I strongly urge you to support the resolution.
Thank you. Nilay, are you here for public comment? Nilay.
Yes, sorry, I wasn't able to speak when you asked me that. I'm ready to start whenever. I'm Nalaya. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a fourth year MCDP major, and I'm the former USAC Facilities Commissioner. I'm also here in support of UPass, and I was really prepared to talk a lot about how many students need to use the UPass as a form of accessibility, because that is how they get to campus to, access their education. But I'm really, really happy to see how many students were able to come out and talk about that on their own.
I think we lost Nilaya. Oh. Nilaya, can you hear us? Oh, now we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Funny story. I'm literally on the street next to a bus. I was prepared to speak a lot about how students need it, but I'm really happy to see how many students came out to talk about the UPass in their own life. What I would love to talk about is how I had such a positive experience on the campaign and the original 25 to 40 students who are working it and running the referendum. I think not only is this a way to provide students with access to transportation to get the education that they're paying for, but also this is a really great opportunity for us to use our lobbying power as a student body to increase the culture of public transportation use and lead towards better public transportation development in LA. So not only for every single reason that everyone else has already stated, but I just really support this referendum because I think it's a really life-changing opportunity and could really have a large impact on our city. So thank you.
Thank you. I would close public comment at 7:38 p.m. and we're going to move on to funding, starting with SFS allocations.
Hello, give me 1 second. Okay. This week, SFS allocated $330 to one non-USAC entity.
Is there any opposition to that allocation? Seeing none, we'll move on to SWC programming.
Alrighty, for this week. Okay, so for the SWC Programming Fund, have a recommendation of 2 allocations this week, both to USAC entities totaling $1,435.
Is there any opposition to the allocation? Seeing none, we're going to move on to ARC allocations.
Hello. ARC recommends a total allocation of $6,500 to 3 non-USAC entities.
Thank you. Is there any opposition to the allocation? Seeing none, we'll move on to TGIF.
TJF recommends an allocation of 8,205 cents to one non-USAC entity and 0 USAC entities.
Thank you. Nico, could we get brewing card and laundry grant, please?
Of course, Adam. Hi, everyone. The Brewing Card Fund recommends an allocation of $30 to 3 individuals, and then the Laundry Fund recommends an allocation of $145 to 29 individuals.
Is there any opposition to either of those allocations? Seeing none, we're going to move on to special presentations, starting with the Bruin Financial Aid System, which is our new financial aid system. Josh, who do we have presenting? Hey, Marvin, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. Would you like us to share your screen, or will you?
Either way, what's the best way? Am I allowed to share?
You should be able to share your screen.
Great. Thank you. All right, can you see my screen?
Yes, you're good.
All right, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Marvin Smith. I'm Executive Director of Financial Aid and Scholarships. I've been here at UCLA 5 years now. And over the past 2 years, the Financial Aid Office for undergraduate students and the ITS office at UCLA have worked hard on a transformation of our financial aid systems. And we have launched and are live with the new financial aid system called Bruin Financial Aid. It is a modern approach to administering financial aid that's going to be good for students and good for staff. So I'll just talk a little bit about what Bruin Financial Aid is. I'll talk about how it's going to impact students. I'll talk about the help resources that are available on our website. And I really would appreciate any feedback that you have now or in the future, and I'll have my email on the last screen. So Bruin Financial Aid is a more intuitive and informative financial aid experience for UCLA students and families. For those that aren't familiar, we have used a mainframe system for some 40 years to administer financial aid. So it was certainly time to modernize and join the 21st century with our financial aid administration. So manual processes were part of that mainframe operation. We weren't as efficient as we could be. It was difficult to maintain and operate. It was using COBOL programmers, and most COBOL programmers are at retirement age. The platform was really a barrier to developing a modern student-centric approach, and the system that we had required extensive annual maintenance. So this new financial aid system is using cloud-based technology. We're actually using an Oracle product. We're going to be able to automate financial aid really quickly. And it'll be like instantaneous reprocessing of financial aid. So it's going to integrate with the financial systems, the Bruin Buy system, or the Bruin Bill system, I should say, and our student information system. And Oracle will provide updates automatically because it's a cloud-based system. So how does this impact students? I just want to brag that I think it's going to be in a more intuitive interface with more information for students to look at, and it's more intuitive. It simplifies the process of getting financial aid, of understanding your financial aid. It's certainly mobile friendly. There's a new personalized student checklist that's integrated within the student portal. Students can submit documents themselves, upload documents, just like modern systems that students are used to using. You can even take a picture of documents and upload them via your phone. So you're going to receive financial aid notices earlier. Um, there's no summer aid application. Once the student registers for summer, they're going to be eligible to receive a financial aid in summer. And really, it's going to help the financial aid staff. We are a hardworking team of about 40 full-time staff, about 20 student staff that work very hard for on your behalf. We're almost $1 billion operation in financial aid. So what's staying the same, your eligibility for financial aid is going to be the same. This is not going to create more scholarships and grants. We've got other initiatives like the affordability initiative that we're trying to um, uh, develop and philanthropy options for undergrad students. So the application process filing the FAFSA or the California DREAM Act will not be affected. Financial aid staff will continue to help students make sense of their financial aid awards. The aid will continue to apply towards the Bruin bill each term that bills are due to the university. And you'll still be able to use the My UCLA portal. So um, I want to tell you about a big time change. This system is open right now. And for continuing students, such as most of the students in the room, it typically wait until June or July to receive your financial aid notice. We're expecting to get that out to you in May. And so it'll be earlier. You'll get an idea of what you qualify for the 25-26 academic year. It will also be used for summer school. So if some students, we got about 5,000 students that take summer school, we'll use this system to process aid for summer. We're expected to distribute summer aid as early as June 13, 10 days before the start of summer school. In the fall, we expect to distribute aid as early as September 12, 10 days before the start of the fall quarter. So that just gives you an idea of how this is happening. You can go look at this system right now by logging into My UCLA and clicking on the Bruin financial aid links. This is we've got a Bruin financial aid navigation webpage that I would encourage you to look at. And let me just click on it real fast to give you an idea. This is a couple things I wanted to highlight. So we've got a variety of navigation videos. This is a good 2-minute overview of what Bruin Financial Aid is. But one thing that's happened within this project is we've really we've got 8 different financial aid offices using this system. So not just the 20,000 undergraduates on receiving financial aid, but graduate school students are using it. UCLA Extension, the Anderson School of Management, School of Law, School of Medicine, School of Nursing. So it's been a big project to kind of get everybody able to use and understand this system. So what else did I want to highlight? We'll continue to load frequently asked questions about the system, and we have a chat bot that we're enhancing, I think, with AI to help students navigate, questions if they can't get a hold of us or that we're unavailable or they don't want to wait on an email. So I welcome your feedback. I got some really good feedback from Chris Ramsey and some folks, I think a couple weeks back about our scholarship application portal. But welcome your feedback now or later. My email's here on the screen. So any comments or questions?
Thank you, Marvin. Does anyone have any questions for Marvin? I think we'll reach out by email just to save some time if that's fine. But thank you so much for coming by. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for the time.
Of course. Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye.
We're going to move on to appointments. We have 3 e-boards appointments and 1 J-board appointment. Our first e-board appointment is the vice chair. We have Sophia, who is online or in person. Online. Just a reminder for all our applicants, we're going to start off with a 1-minute opening statement by the applicant, followed by a 15-minute question and answer period. After that, we'll have a 1-minute closing statement. We'll hear ARC's recommendations, have council member deliberations, and then we'll vote. With that being said, Sophia, whenever you're ready, please go ahead with your 1-minute opening statement.
Thank you. Hi, good evening. My name is Sophia Suh. I go by she, her pronouns, and I'm currently a 4th-year sociology major applying for the USA Elections Board vice chair position. I understand that the vice chair plays a major role in organizing and coordinating the election process, and I'm confident that I have what it takes to play that part. I have previous experience in USAC through the Academic Affairs Commission, where I served last academic year as a Legislative Assembly Senator. This experience gave me valuable insight into the inner workings of USAC, as well as strengthened my passion for student advocacy and governance to ensure a student body that is connected to its campus. I also have experience on USAC's Office of the President as a Platform 1 Planning the Dinner staff member, where I helped organize quarterly town hall meetings and regularly coordinate with on-campus orgs to ensure that their needs were being met and their voices were being taken seriously by the office. Both experiences gave me a lot of insight on UCLA student government, and it overall increased my passion for student advocacy and transparency and leadership.
Thank you. We're now going to move on to our 15-minute question and answer period by council members. Do any council members have any questions? Tamim, followed by Kiara.
Hi. Just one question is, what are your plans to enhance equity in the upcoming election cycle?
Right. So, as vice chair, I understand that I would be making sure the board is being held accountable as well as in adhering to outreach and transparency initiatives. I think that it's extremely crucial for the elections board to constantly keep up this communication system with other organizations to promote the elections process as well as possible, and to ensure that there's a transparent voting system that's occurring so that we can maintain this trust and credibility within our system, so that we can be sure that we'll have an equitable and fair process for a good student government panel next year.
Hi there. This way. Thank you for being here tonight. So I wanted to ask you, based off your knowledge of the previous election cycle and the election in general, as well as the vice chair role, what types of growth would you advocate for in your position as vice chair throughout the election cycle, whether it's engagement with candidates or the equity component, as Tamu said, or other areas as well that you would advocate for growth in?
Yeah, for sure. I think especially considering the current political climate, it's very important that we ensure we're staying very transparent with our student body. And I know that a lot of the student body, a big issue with that last year was that a lot of them didn't know exactly what USAC did or what USAC was. And so I think it's really important to continue fostering that image of just being open to our student body and holding this sort of accountability, knowing that we are putting forth candidates that are taking the voices of our student body seriously. And I think it is very important to make sure that the elections process is well publicized and accessible to the wider campus community, so that students know that their voices are being heard. this can involve, direct and clear communication with organizations or between organizations and between the elections board, as well as being sort of this liaison between the elections board and the candidates, to sort of ensure that candidates are doing what they can to create the most equitable options for the student body.
Have you?
Oops, sorry, forgot to mute myself. But hi, I kind of want to ask in a similar vein to Kiara's previous question, what visions do you see for the election board to potentially also increase the degree of safety that candidates feel, especially in this political climate? Last year there was a lot of targeting of specific candidates in regards to their varying political views. I know elections board is supposed to be more nonpartisan, so I'm not expecting you all to take a particular stance, but just more so, what measures are you all willing to explore or put into place to ensure that Hello? Oh, to ensure that this year's round of candidates is able to, participate, campaign, and also engage the student body in a safe manner.
So I think that it's especially important to make sure that candidates are feeling safe, as they campaign for themselves. I think it's the biggest part about the safety that candidates feel is also making sure that the board is being held accountable to adhering to this sort of transparency as well. And so it's just letting the candidates know that they're not in this by themselves and that the board is here to directly support them. Even though the board, as you said, is purely nonpartisan, we will not be taking any like specific stances on anything. However, we will be serving as the primary support system for the candidates who wish to promote themselves. And so if candidates are feeling, harmed or unsafe in any way possible, it's important to maintain this system of direct communication and a welcome environment that the candidates can feel safe and open to reach out to the elections board in case that, they need this extra support. And yeah, the support can also come in the form of, depending on the level of severity, the elections board would also make personal efforts to directly, assist the candidate in their campaigning process, or make sure just, that certain issues are being handled, and that cases of possible harassment or any issues that may affect the safety of that candidate are effectively being taken into account and made sure that they will not occur again.
Thank you. Do any other council members have any questions? Seeing none, Sophia, please go ahead with your 1 minute closing statement whenever you're ready.
So thank you guys so much for having me today. I apologize for being online. I'm currently studying abroad in Rome this quarter, and so it's 4 a.m. And last quarter I studied in DC. But both experiences have taught me vastly different skills in both the professional and personal aspects of life. They've both taught me to be more confident and unafraid to take risks, as well as make bolder choices, given that they create efficient routes to the goals that I have in mind. And considering my past experience with USAC and student government, as well as my increased passion for maintaining a transparent system within the student body, and increasing that credibility that the student body has with the student government, I think that I would do a great job at being the vice chair for the elections board. So thank you.
Thank you. Could we get to ARC's recommendations, please?
Sophia had an excellent interview with ARC. Sophia's prior experience serving as an academic senator in an office of the president makes ARC believe that she has the qualifications and knowledge of USAC to serve as vice chair of the elections board. We are also impressed with Sophia's commitment to equity through her goals of ensuring underrepresented and non-traditional students have their voices heard throughout the campaign season. With the 2-0 to 1 vote, ARC recommends Sophia for this appointment.
Thank you. Do any council members have any comments or concerns about the applicant? Mona?
I will be abstaining tonight on Sophia's appointment due to our friendship, but I'm excited to see Sophia hopefully take on this role and look forward to seeing her work throughout the election season.
Thank you. Do any of the council members have any comments or concerns? If none, could we please get a motion? Kiara.
Okay, how do you pronounce your last name? Sorry. Okay, just want to double check. I motion to appoint Sophia Suh to the Elections Board Vice Chair position.
Second.
Kiara motions, Mona seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. And all abstaining, please raise your hands. With an 11-0 to 1 vote, Sophia is appointed. Thank you. We're going to move on to our next appointment. We have a J board appointment with Nikki. Whenever you're ready, please go ahead with your 1-minute opening statement.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nikki Aguili, and I'm a junior majoring in political science with a minor in public affairs. I'm applying to be a judicial board justice because I strongly believe in upholding fairness and accountability in student governance. I previously served on the judicial board at Santa Monica College, where I worked on real cases, including a major cheating allegation during student government elections. That experience taught me how to analyze evidence, interpret policies, and ensure due process was followed. It also enforced the importance of approaching every case with neutrality and a clear understanding of the rules. Beyond that, my leadership roles, including vice president and ICC delegate of the Pre-Law Society at SMC, and my work in legal advocacy have helped me develop the skills needed to think critically, communicate effectively, and make fair, well-reasoned decisions. I care about making sure students' rights are protected and that every case is handled thoughtfully and impartially. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the 15-minute question and answer period. Do any council members have any questions? So, Javi.
Hi, Nikki. Thank you for coming out to council today. Kind of want to ask, given your prior experience being on judicial board at Santa Monica College, what are some relevant experiences or, traits that you are hoping to bring over into the judicial board here at UCLA, specifically USAC?
Hi. So being on the judicial board with that one case that I was able to have hands-on experience with, I think the most critical skill that I learned was to be impartial and put my own opinions aside and think more about the policy. Having the two people on the case come in and them having their witnesses in, it brought in a lot of emotion from both ends, which can make it difficult to make a difficult decision for them. So I learned how to put that aside and bringing that into hopefully a potential experience here at UCLA. I hope to continue doing that to make sure that all voices are heard and none are neglected and no issue has more of a priority than the other unless it's of an urgent issue. So just to ensure that students here feel heard and understand that the judicial board, just basically understand how the judicial board works, because I feel like there isn't much awareness about that at UCLA, and to feel as though they can rely on the board.
Do any other council members have any questions? Yara.
Hi there. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I've enjoyed learning about your experience so far. I know you talked a little bit about your approach in your past experience to working with people and hearing out different sides. Curious if there's opposition like amongst the judicial board of, difference opinions about difference in opinion about handling a case or I don't know, just different perspectives in a room. What is your approach to that and understanding and navigating those different opinions in a room and figuring out a way to move forward collectively?
Yeah, thank you. So I understand that in a group of people, there's never going to, I mean, there can be, but it's rare to have everyone agreeing on every single thing. And in order to live life and progress and move on, it's important to understand that in order to reach a decision or to compromise, there needs to be effective communication, transparency. So just to build that and work on communicating my opinions, making sure that everyone's understanding our duties and responsibilities at the judicial board, including extreme cases of if I feel as though my personal background or my experiences may alter my decision to recuse myself to not, cause any harm to the board. So within the board, just to make sure if we have, which we probably will have difference in opinions, just to talk about it and communicate how we can move on from there.
Do any other council members have any questions? Seeing none, please feel free to go on with your 1 minute closing statement whenever you're ready.
Thank you again for taking the time to hear me. One of the biggest lessons I've learned from my time on the judicial board at SMC is that every case is more than just policies and procedures. It's about real students and real consequences. Decisions made by this board can impact students' academic careers, leadership opportunities, and overall trust in UCLA student governance. That's why I take this role seriously and why I want to serve as a justice. I believe a strong judicial board is one that is thoughtful, objective, and willing to engage in difficult conversations to ensure fairness. If given this opportunity, I will bring that mindset to every case and work to uphold the integrity of this board. I appreciate your time and consideration. I hope to contribute meaningfully in this position. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we please get ARC's recommendations?
Nikki had an excellent interview with ARC, receiving a 3-0 vote. ARC was impressed with Nikki's experience, as they're currently serving as the J-Board Law Clerk here at UCLA, and their prior experience as a judicial board member at their community college. ARC is excited to see Nikki's work on the judicial board for the rest of the year.
Thank you. Do any council members have any concerns or comments about the applicant? Seeing none, can we please get a motion? Kiara.
Is your last name Agili?
Yeah.
Agili? Okay. I motion to appoint Nikki Agili to the judicial board.
Kiara motions, Tamim seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. And all abstaining, please raise your hands. With a 12-0 vote. Sorry, with a 12-0 vote, Nikki is appointed to the judicial board.
Thank you.
One second, sorry. Okay, we're going to move on to our next applicant. We have Aisha, that's here for the Election Board Director of Investigations. Hello, go ahead with your 1 minute opening statement whenever you're ready.
Hi, my name is Aisha Sayed, and I'm a third-year psych student with an art history minor. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm applying for the Director of Investigations position. I'm interested in this position because I want to ensure a fair and transparent election process at UCLA, where every student should feel confident in the integrity of the system and the candidates running. Here at UCLA, I serve as the Muslim Student Association president, where I oversee over 500 Muslim students on campus. As a leader, I have to make decisions in an efficient manner while still being thorough, and above all, I have to remember that I represent a community much bigger than myself. So it's crucial that I put aside my personal bias and adhere to the guidelines that we have in place. I'm responsible for investigating any claims against another member in our own community, which requires me to be fair and impartial. Being on the MSA election committee, I understand the importance of making sure that the election process is transparent and fair, and how important it is to elect people who really represent the community. These experiences and skills have prepared me to handle the responsibilities of the Director of Investigations position.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the 15-minute question and answer period. Do any council members have any questions? Seeing none, please go ahead with your 1-minute closing statement whenever you're ready. Sorry, Mono.
Sorry, I was gonna wait to ask, but I really enjoyed reading your ARC interview, and I wanted to ask if you could expand a little on some of the experiences you mentioned in it, particularly how you talked about one of the experiences you've had with a previous MSA election when it comes to maintaining impartiality, as well as navigating how intense investigations can get within elections.
Sure. So the one specific MSA election that I was kind of helping out with, where things got a little bit heated in the town hall that we were having, we had to make sure from the beginning that our MSA elections committee was separate from the people who were running. That meant putting aside your own personal bias. We had a whole list of guidelines that we had to adhere to, follow, similar to the election code, where it's clearly outlined what's allowed, what's not allowed. And we had to launch an investigation into a candidate there and see his connection to the other members in the community as well. Eventually, it was solved and it worked out, and we made some edits to our constitution to reflect that. But yeah, that's my experience with that.
Do any other council members have questions? Carolyn.
Yeah, really enjoyed what you've been saying so far. I guess just to learn more, I'm wondering like what your understanding is of the role of director of investigations, and what are some important traits that you think you'll bring to that role?
Sure. So I think from what I understand about the position itself is that we're in charge of making sure that the candidates really adhere to the election code and follow through with all the guidelines that are listed there. There's a whole list of things I know in terms of their campaign, finances, and I know I would work closely with the election board to ensure that the consequences for violating any of those would be appropriate to the candidate. And so that would be the understanding. And then could you repeat the second part of the question?
Yes, of course. What traits do you think are important for this role, and how will you bring those?
Sure. So I think some of the most important traits would be impartiality, neutrality, and the ability to separate yourself, again, from your own personal opinion, and really looking at it with a structured and fact-based approach, ensuring that the guidelines that were given are thoroughly followed to the end.
Do any other council members have any questions? Seeing none, please go ahead with your 1-minute closing statement.
As Director of Investigations, my aim is to foster trust among students and candidates. I am passionate about maintaining the integrity of the election process, especially during a time of uncertainty and fear for many of our students on campus. I know firsthand about putting your trust in a leader as a UCLA student, and I'm aware that trust extending to the people who are part of the election process. I understand the delicate communication of this role, and I will make sure that I report and document any information being shared about possible infractions while maintaining confidentiality as necessary and reporting only to the appropriate members. I'm prepared to fulfill these responsibilities to the best of my ability to ensure the integrity of the election process at UCLA. And then with the time left, I'm so sorry if I came off a little bit shaky. I am fasting today as it is our holy month of Ramadan, but thank you.
Thank you. Can we please hear ARC's recommendations?
Aisha had a very impressive interview with ARC. With her experience managing elections for MSA, which has over 500 members, ARC has no doubt that she is more than qualified to take on this position. ARC was equally impressed with Aisha's commitment to protecting candidate safety while maintaining impartiality in her position. With a 2-0 to 1 vote, ARC highly recommends Aisha for this appointment.
Thank you. Do any council members have any comments or concerns? Tamim, followed by Mona.
Yeah, I just want everyone to know that I'll be abstaining from the vote because I know Aisha in a personal and professional capacity, but I strongly urge everyone to vote yes.
And then I will also be abstaining tonight on Aisha's appointment, as I did in the ARC interview, due to our friendship and a personal capacity. But I'm very excited to see Aisha potentially fill this particular role within eBoard, as the experiences she touched upon within her ARC interview and tonight demonstrate she is qualified and experienced in positions of a similar nature. I'm looking forward to seeing your work throughout the election season, hopefully.
Thank you. Unless anyone else has any other comments, could we please get a motion? Tamim.
Motion to appoint Aisha Saeed as the Elections Board Director of Investigations.
I second. Tamim motions, Tommy seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. And all abstaining, please raise your hands. With a 9-0 to 2 vote, Aisha is appointed to the E-Board. Thank you. We have our final appointment of the day. We have the E-Board Director of External Relations. We have Simra. Hello. Whenever you're ready, please go ahead with your 1-minute opening statement.
Great. Hello, everyone. My name is Simra Mirza, and I go by she pronouns. I'm a junior first-year transfer at UCLA, and I'm majoring in biology. And I'm applying for the Director of External Relations position because I'm really passionate about making sure that we have transparent communication and that we're increasing student engagement in campus governance. And so my background really combines leadership and outreach, which I understand are all really important to this role. And so as president of the American Medical Student Association at my college, I really spearheaded certain initiatives and that sort of honed my skills in these sorts of issues. And I ended up also leading a team that presented at a national conference, which is a testament to my skills. And as founder of the MSA at my college as well, I really learned how important it is for students' voices to be heard. And that's something that I aim to uphold as Director of External Relations. And all in all, these experiences have sharpened my ability to build networks, promote events, and engage diverse student communities. And I'm confident that these, combined with my outreach experience, is what makes me a strong candidate for this position.
Thank you. We're going to move on to our question and answer period. Do any council members have any questions? Kiara.
Hi there. Thank you for being here tonight. So with this position focused on external relations, if could explain a little bit more, what is your approach to engaging with our student communities on campus, again, making that election process equitable, and what you would hope to see? What is your vision for your role for Elections Board through your role, and what you'd hope to accomplish within it?
Mm-hmm. And so for me, I think equity is a really huge part of why I want to take this position in the first place. Because really, to me, equity is not just about making sure that everyone has a seat at the table, but it's about really making sure that you're breaking down barriers to make sure that every single person's voice is heard and that it's actually valued. And so really what I'd like to do is to make sure that we're pushing out information about the election to all different corners of the student, overall population. And so whether that's, talking to different, or really collaborating with a lot of student orgs, who represent their individual communities, who have reach in those communities, or whether, for example, there are students who don't even, have any affiliation with any student orgs. And for them, just making sure that we're active and we're present on campus and making sure that almost every really single student is hearing about the election and knows about the candidates and making them motivated to actually vote in the election, I think would be a huge thing for me. And whether we're using, of course, social media is such a huge, powerful tool that we could leverage to our advantage. And so again, making sure that everyone's really heard and that we're really pushing it out to every aspect of, or every corner of the student population is something that, I'm really interested in making sure it takes place this election.
Thank you. Do any other council members have any questions? Javi.
Hi, Sinra. Kind of want to ask, well, on the same vein of not only just equity but access, how will you ensure that student turnout is actually well, given that we have so many proposed referendums going on the ballot this year, and also just historically, USAC turnout for elections has been very low amongst the student population. For vulnerable populations, like for example, a variety of non-traditional students, we're talking students with dependents, commuters, etc. How will you ensure that visibility in this election is prioritized amongst those communities to help encourage voter turnout?
I think, again, a huge part of this goes back to, making sure that we're really collaborating with people who do have reach in those parts of the student population. For example, if we're talking about commuter students, really making sure that we're connecting with that community through people that actively represent them. I believe we have organizations on campus that do specifically deal with commuter students. And so really making sure that we're building partnerships, for example, that's just one aspect of it. And then beyond that, I think that's a really great point, in terms of, engagement engagement with the election. And so I think, again, a really powerful tool is social media. I mean, I'd go out on a limb here and say the majority of us do have social media. And so I think social media can be a really powerful tool that can make the election super. And if we're able to, push out content from candidates, or, their missions or things about candidates that would make students interested. And of course, this would all be in a very, fair manner that, we're not pushing out one candidate more than another. Again, super fair. But making sure that we're, pushing out what candidates are really about. And then, hopefully there'll be an issue or two that, a student will feel, they'll see it while they're, scrolling across their For You page and be like, I really think that this aligns with what I think, and this is a change that I'd like to see. And then I think in that sense, especially with social media, is I think something that we can leverage.
Thank you. Do any other council members have any questions? Seeing none, feel free to go ahead with your 1-minute closing statement whenever you're ready.
So again, everyone, thank you so much for considering me for this role. And I just wanted to reiterate that I'm really passionate about empowering students to engage with elections, because I understand more than I really do understand, especially given my prior experience, how important it is for students to have their voices represented in student government. And I really do wish to amplify student voices and to boost voter participation. And again, if I put my all into anything, I put my all into everything that I do. And so I would really love to have this role so that I can ensure that, we're having that voter turnout and that students are having their voices represented. And all in all, I'm just super excited about the possibility to contributing to a more informed, active, and engaged campus community.
Thank you. Can we please get ARC's recommendations?
Simran had an excellent interview with ARC. With her previous experience in debate and serving as a debate coach, ARC believes that Simran will be able to effectively take on the challenge of managing the candidate debates in the spring. ARC was also impressed with Simran's commitment to objectivity through her goals of ensuring that all candidates have an equal opportunity to publicize their platforms through elections board channels. ARC recommends Simran for this appointment with a 3-0 vote.
Thank you. Unless there are any comments or concerns by council members, could we please get a motion? Mona.
I move to appoint Simra Mirza to the Elections Board Director of External Relations position.
A second.
Mona motions, Diego seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. And all abstaining, please raise your hands. With a 12-0 vote, Simra is appointed as the E-Board Director of External Relations. Thank you. Moving on, we're going to have short officer reports today with only the 4 mandatory reports due to time constraints, and mine will be completely written. Josh?
Just a few things. I met with SFAC and UCLA Transportation today with Joy to advocate for Bruin access fees, Bruin access funding being used from SFS fees, and we can send our notes to the USAC chat since I know a lot of people were curious about that. And then I also attended the SWC and JCU Town Hall with Kara to discuss concerns and issues with accessibility initiatives on campus. And then ARC had 6 interviews this past cycle. We interviewed 1 candidate for J-Board and 5 for E-Board. And then we should have our last couple E-Board candidates, hopefully by week 1 of spring. And then I also did a presentation to SFAC to gauge priorities for SFS funding for the upcoming year, and that included Bruin access funding as well as funding to our community centers on campus, such as the Transfer Student Center and the LGBTQ plus resource center on campus. And then lastly, we're having free boba on Bruin Walk this Friday. The time will be decided soon. It'll be on our Instagram. And then CAB is also doing a feedback form on how USAC can better support student orgs, and I'll share the results with everyone soon.
Have you?
Hi everyone. I'm gonna keep it quick, but there are a number of opportunities and announcements that I would like to make. For Latina Advocacy Day, again, applications for this are due tomorrow, Wednesday, March 12th. So, mi gente Latina, if you guys haven't applied yet, please apply. We would love to have you. On a similar note, Black Student Advocacy Day applications are open on UCLA's end. They are going to be due next Monday, and we're currently collaborating with the African Student Union and their member orgs to help disseminate this information. Regents public comment registration. They're here next week, y'all. Please register for public comment. Find the full agenda in my officer report and expect a post from EVP later this week to help advertise. And then just in general, came back from UCSA's student lobby conference, saw CalPERC there, helped lobby on a variety of different student priorities, including Cal Grant reform, undocumented emergency grants for basic needs, disability service funding, and reintroducing Opportunity for All alongside the undocumented student-led network. So we're helping conduct follow-up with offices who express interest in potentially authoring that bill. And we're also helping follow up with CalPERC later this week to discuss future potential collaborations. Also, later this meeting, hopefully going to get funding for the USSA Legislative Conference. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The rest of my report will be ready for today. But if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Bye.
ACU.
Chris Espino's reports will be written today.
Thank you. Admin reps, is Orlando here? No?
Hello. Yeah, I'm here. Hello, everyone. No, just another reminder that week 1 spring quarter, we will be having open registration for new organization. And week 2, we will have our quarterly day of events where we host different series of workshops for the new organization as well as current groups. I'll have more information at our next meeting. That's it.
Jessica.
Just a couple quick announcements. One is that we have an event tomorrow happening in this room in BVR from 4:30 to 6 p.m. that I just want to share for all of you. It's prioritizing mental health fitness. So there will be some snacks starting at 4:30, and then the program I think runs from like 5 to 6 p.m. So if you're around, come by. Additionally, I forwarded you all an email this morning, I believe, but it could have been yesterday. Basically new building hours starting spring quarter. So just want to make sure that you saw that, read it, see the revised building hours, just so that you're aware. And that's going to start week 1 of spring. So just wanted to give you all plenty of advance notice on that. And then the last update I have is that I'll be out of office next week, as will Jonathan, at a conference. So hopefully finals goes well for you all. But if you need anything, email, may not get a quick reply, but you can always Slack or text is really the best option. But yeah, we will be out of town and on East Coast time. So just FYI.
Thank you. Is Lori here? Or does anyone have Lori's updates? Peter, any updates?
No, I'm good on my end, guys.
Jonathan?
Hey, hi, hello. A couple things from me. First, the annual ASUCLA Talent Show is upcoming next month. The winner gets $300. The second place gets $200, and the third place gets $100. So, like, actual money on the line. I will drop the flyer in the Slack, but super easy to sign up. And yeah, it's next month. If you are a member of USAC, please respond to Emily. Please respond to Emily. That's all. As I said last week, tomorrow through the 14th is employee appreciation in the store. So your employee discount goes up to 33%. So check that out if you're wanting to get anything from the store. Just another bump to spread word on candidate packets. I don't know what day this week they close, but it's this week.
This Friday.
It's Friday. So, you know, get us some people for next year to replace you, please and thank you. Like Jessica said, her and I will be out. I leave on Friday, so I will not be here on Friday. And then I come back on next Thursday, so I will be here next Friday, but not this coming Friday. Jessica will be out all of next week. So, you know, we'll have our stuff, but Lorelai will be here, and she's so excited to help you all next week. So please go to her first. It will be your fastest and best route. Update on attendance for next quarter. Since you have 8 meetings scheduled for next quarter, That means you're only allowed to miss 2 meetings next quarter. Any meetings beyond that is a stipend check. We are here during spring break, even if you're not. So if you need anything, let us know. However, keep in mind that that Friday of spring break is Cesar Chavez Day, so no one will be here that day. Please prep your office for spring break. Make sure your windows are closed. Make sure there should never be open food in your office, but make sure there's no open food in your office. Your lights are off, all those kind of good things. And then lastly, I will be out of office tomorrow. I'm going to a little conference for Asana. So Lorelai will be here, Jessica will be here. I'll have my phone. So that's it.
Thank you. We're going to move on to new business, starting with a resolution demanding increased funding and improved services for Bruin Access. Josh, you want to take the mic?
Yes, me, Joy, and Kiara are gonna read it together, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Alrighty. All right. Good to go?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Alrighty. So across our BAC, IVP, and SWC, we have been working with the Disabled Student Union on this resolution. So huge shout out to them for all their feedback and others who contributed to put this together as we got more information as well. So this is a resolution demanding increased funding and improved services for Bruin Access. Okay, whereas Bruin Access is an essential transportation service for disabled students with mobility impairments and other accessibility needs at UCLA, and whereas students who rely on Bruin Access have reported delays, inconsistent availability, and an overall lack of sufficient resources to meet the demand, thereby exacerbating their conditions and impeding their ability to attend classes, participate in campus activities, and access essential services since at least 2020. And whereas the lack of adequate funding and resources for Bruin Access results in accessibility inequities, as well as disproportionately harming disabled students and those with temporary injuries, which directly contradicts UCLA's commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, and Regents Policy 4400. And whereas in 2023, Bruin Access averaged just 60 rides per day across 3 vans, resulting in serious delays and missed stops. Whereas feedback from many members of the UCLA Disabled Student Union, DSU, revealed that students are unable to communicate with drivers directly via the Trickshot app, which students use to request rides, meaning students are unable to receive communications from drivers if their ride is late or not showing up to their stop at all.
Whereas a lack of institutional support for Bruin Access creates inequities in educational opportunities, as students who are not able-bodied are unable to access classrooms, in-person lectures, discussions, or office hours. And whereas a lack of hybrid options for students unable to access classrooms and in-person meetings exacerbates existing inequities in educational opportunities. Whereas many members of the UCLA DSU who use Bruin Access revealed significant dissatisfaction with the service due to long wait times, difficulty scheduling rides, and limited operational hours, demonstrating a clear need for improvements. And whereas UCLA Transportation has indicated that Bruin Access may receive service cuts due to budget deficits by the start of the 2025 to 2026 fiscal year and has not provided any solution to increasing Bruin Access's budget apart from increasing student fees. And whereas UCLA is required by law, according to Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act, to provide reasonable accommodations for students with disabilities to any programs, events, or services, and therefore the burden of funding such services should not rely on student fees. And whereas in the case of budget constraints, the university must engage in the interactive process with disabled students to ensure that disabled students receive the benefits or services provided according to Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act, including but not limited to ensuring the availability of complimentary paratransit service to ADA paratransit eligible individuals, ending practices that prevent substantial numbers of significantly untimely pickups for initial or return trips, and ensuring that there is not a substantial numbers of trip denials or missed trips. And
Whereas increasing funding for Bruin Access would allow for an expansion of service hours and increasing the number of available vehicles and improve scheduling systems, thereby providing a more reliable and equitable transportation option for students in need. And therefore, let it be resolved that the Undergraduate Students Association Council, or USAC, formally demands that UCLA allocate adequate increased funding to Bruin Access without increasing student fees in order to expand its services, improve efficiency, and enhance accessibility for all students in need. And therefore, let it be resolved that USAC formally demands that as long as Bruin Access fails to meet the needs of disabled students, UCLA must guarantee access to hybrid options for all classes, discussions, office hours, and anything needed for a student to succeed academically. And therefore, let it be resolved that USAC demands that thorough external audits of Bruin Access independent of CAE and UCLA Transportation be conducted and should include multiple external auditors to input to gauge how the audits be conducted, along with publication of data on the number of total rides, missed stops, or ride delays, delays in grants for service eligibility from CAE, and any other relevant factors having to do with the efficiency of Bruin Access. And therefore, let it finally be resolved that USAC will work in collaboration with UCLA Transportation, DSU, and other relevant campus organizations to advocate for these improvements, conduct additional research on student needs, and ensure transparency and accountability in the allocation of resources for Bruin Access.
Thank you. Do any council members have any comments or concerns before we move to a vote? Josh.
Yeah, I just want to highlight what it says in the resolution. This is not a new issue. It's been ongoing since 2020. Right now, Bruin Access only has 3 vans to serve 35,000 undergraduate students and 20,000 graduate students. We've been meeting with DSU and Student Affairs plus UCLA Transportation for the past couple quarters now. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem like that's been able to make much progress, especially with the recent external audit of CAE not incorporating anything about Bruin Access into the review. So we're hoping this revolution will be a pivotal next step for advocacy to increase services and resources from the university to Bruin Access.
Thanks, Josh. Anyone else? Can we get a motion, please? Mano.
I move to pass the resolution demanding increased funding and improved services for Bruin Access.
I second.
Muna motions, Tamim seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. And all abstaining, please raise your hands. With an 11-0 vote, that is approved. We're going to move on to our next item, which is the Bruin Transit Pass referendum language. I believe we have someone. Are you presenting, Joy?
We have members of FACTS Transportation, Equity, and Access Committee to present the referendum.
Sounds good.
All right, good evening, council members. We are excited to be presenting the Universal Access Transit Pass Renewal Referendum for your consideration to place it on this year's ballot. Next slide, please. To introduce ourselves, my name is Michael Griffin. I am the co-director of Transportation, Equity, and Access on the USAC Facilities Commission. This is Winston Lee, my co-director. Yeah, please raise your hand as I introduce you so the council knows. This is Sabine Goldberg, who is one of our staff members. We have Kristen Weiss, who is our STC for All ambassador. Isabella Zern is our ITE liaison. We have Lucas Gazelli, who is the UPass rollout liaison. And we have Lawrence Tran, who is the former director of T, and Sophia Wang, who is this year's field director for our upcoming campaign. Next slide, please.
So we'll just be going over the basics of the UPass and how it works currently. So our proposed renewed quarterly fee will go up to $6.80, which Michael will explain further in the following slides. And our current fee will go through spring 2026. And the renewed fee will go from fall 2026 to spring 2030. And currently, every undergraduate student pays during the academic year through their Bruin bill, and students get to to renew their pass every quarter through CTO online, and then they get to enjoy unlimited rides on public transit fare free throughout LA.
Next slide, please. So as you may have noticed, $6.80 per quarter is higher than the current $3.41 that we pay per quarter for the UPass. There are a couple main reasons for this. First and foremost, UCLA Transportation, when they were making their original projections in 2023 as to what they thought ridership would be, grossly underestimated the popularity of the UPass. Since then, we have seen very high usage. And as a result, UCLA Transportation has had to subsidize a lot more than they were hoping to. Their goal was to subsidize 33% of the UPass, and they are currently averaging at around 60% subsidy per quarter. In addition, we are anticipating higher levels of ridership with the arrival of the D-Line extension, with its Westwood UCLA station opening in 2027. We are expecting Bruins to really take advantage of their UPass to ride the subway. In addition, these estimates have been updated to ensure that the program remains financially viable. As of right now, we have been informed by UCLA Transportation that the university is facing a lot of challenges with their budget. And this is due to multiple reasons. One of them being the new administration has caused a lot of uncertainty in terms of federal funding, and there has been a lot of pressure from the upper level admin to make sure that there are not budget shortfalls. So we believe that this new fee will really help to address those concerns with admin. Next slide, please. So the return to aid for this referendum will be $1.70. This is consistent with UC policy for all student referendums, in which 25% of all student fees must be designated for return to aid. This will go to the UCLA Office of Financial Aid. We spoke with the Office of Financial Aid, and they reported to us that during last school year, that is 2023-2024, 58% of applicants to financial aid had their fees covered in full for this fee. Next slide, please.
Hi. Currently, with the current UPass system, we have over 13 agencies that span across LA County involved in what is included in the student's $3.41 fee. I'm not going to list all the agencies included. They're all above there. However, with the ranging fare fees for each individual agency between less than $1 to up to $3, this is all encompassed and exempt for students participating. In addition, this spans greater across, far greater than UCLA. We find that these transit agencies go as far south as Long Beach, which is 40 miles away, as far north as Santa Clarita, which is 30 miles away, and as far east as Claremont, California, which is 50 miles away. While mostly bus systems, as those listed above, this also includes Metro Rail and Metro Micro systems, which I will talk about later, and these are either included or reduced for students. Next slide. With the Metro Micro system, this is the Metro operated van share system that takes students through short trip rides from specific stops and Metro bus and rail connections. This is included in the UPass and is discounted for students for $1 per ride. Next slide.
And I'll be speaking about the history of the UPass referendum, the 2023 referendum. And before we move on to the next slide, I wanted to point out our wonderful tap card design, which was designed by Sammy Williamson, who is a student here. We held a design contest where students could vote on their favorite design. And this was a tap card that was handed out to a lot of students when they were first receiving their tap card. Next slide, please. The planning started in August of 2023, and August through January, the Facilities Commission and specifically the members of T met with Green New Deal as well as UCLA Transportation and coordinated on the language and the original price of the fee. The approvals occurred with USAC on March 7th of 2023 with 10 votes for yes, 0 votes no, and 0 abstaining. It was later approved by the UC Office of the President on March 23rd of 2023 with 3 required revisions, and it was later approved on April 6th by the Office of Chancellor Jean Block. For the campaign, we had endorsements from many organizations across campus, including the Daily Bruin, Gen Rep 1, the Community Service Commission, the Facilities Commission, as well as Bruin Democrats, and again, many other organizations. For turnout on the actual election, we passed the vital 20% threshold in order to get a referendum on the ballot, leading from 19% the previous year to 23% turnout. And I'd like to note that the team on the referendum had a lot of outreach where we were on Bruin Walk and other places encouraging people to vote. And we ended up getting over 93% voting yes for the referendum. Later on, we had distribution events where we coordinated with UCLA Transportation as well as the Central Ticket Office to hand out the tap cards to students on the Hill, as well as different locations on campus. Next slide, please. And just revisiting the campaign real quick, we reached out to a lot of organizations asking for the ability to present in these clubs as well as in classrooms. We were following campaign rules about telling people information about the campaign in certain areas, but not saying to vote for it, and as well as just educating about the voting process and how students can get their voice out and support the referendum. We also had field outreach where we were tabling and flyering on Bruin Walk, as well as other locations on campus, such as the bus turnaround. And we also had a graphic and media outreach where we had opinion pieces that ran in the Daily Bruin, as well as different social media campaigns that were focused on encouraging Bruins to support the campaign, as well as how they would use public transportation in their daily lives if the tap cards were approved. Next slide, please.
All right, so looking at the historical usage data since the program's launch in September 2023, Bruins have logged over 1 million taps and have saved over $1.4 million in public transit fees since fall quarter of 2023. You can see the raw data on this table, but to kind of summarize it, our highest ridership quarter was actually last quarter, that quarter being fall 2024. We saw over 291,000 taps in one quarter, which is just a huge number, showing that this is very popular among students and it is utilized very well. And just to give some transparency into the calculations behind the money saved, this amount is factoring in the UPass fee paid by each student every quarter, and this is using the assumption that every tap is worth $1.75. Each fare does vary between agencies, but we believe that it averages out to roughly the Metro standard fare of $1.75. Next slide, please.
So now we're going to discuss several case studies that can be found, in other words, other transit programs that can be found at UCLA or other universities that have the same thing here at UCLA, like their own UPass. So next slide, please. So our first case study is the Bruin Grad Pass, which essentially is the graduate version of the Bruin UPass. And so it was recently renewed in November 2023. First, it was put forth on April 2020 as the Bruin Go Universal Access Transit Pass referendum, and it passed with 76 approval. However, it did cost $25.04 per quarter. In November 2023, the renewal referendum for the Bruin Grad Pass, it had a 10-year renewal with $11 per quarter, so much lower than $25, and nearly 6,000 passes were distributed in fall 2023 alone, and has the same transit agencies that students can access as the UPass.
Next slide, please. Here we compare a few other transit passes across the UC system. Most of the other UCs have less comprehensive transit passes than our proposal, primarily due to regional transit options. But despite their comparatively high cost, they have all passed by a very high margin when the referendum is voting on, including fee increases and in renewals. First, we look to UC San Diego, which currently their covered services are all local buses, trolleys, and light rails, and Triton Transit and Triton Mobility Services, including shuttles, carts, and ride services. Their annual student fees are $225, and the yes vote margin in 2025 was 83%. Next, we look at UC Berkeley. Their covered services are Bear Transit shuttles and Alameda County Transit buses, including local, Transbay, and night buses, but this does not include BART. The annual student fees are $210, and in 2023, the students passed this measure with a vote of 86%. Finally, we look at UC Davis. Their covered services are Unitrans, including campus circulation and local buses, but do not include regional trains. Their annual student fees are approximately $130, and their yes vote margin in 2019 was 92%. This is compared to our proposed annual fee, which is just $20.40. And as previously stated, this includes 13 agencies and is far more comprehensive than the other UCs.
Next, looking at the benefits of the UPass during its first 2 years of existence. Next slide. So first, looking at the environmental impacts. So it's well known that commuting is one of the largest sources of carbon emissions, and specifically according to UCLA's last State of the Commute, commuting by a single occupancy vehicle was the largest source of UCLA's mobile emissions. And it's well known that accumulation of pollutants can exacerbate climate change and contributes to adverse health outcomes, such as in an urban environment like Westwood. And public transit helps address this by consolidating travel and by using zero emissions or low emissions vehicles. And as Michael stated, we have over 1 million taps on the UPass, amounting to nearly 1 million car trips not taken. Next slide. Looking at the accessibility and equity benefits. So accessibility-wise, public transit allows students who aren't able to have a vehicle or who can't drive to navigate throughout LA, and also supports various mobility needs. From an equity perspective, there are significant expenses associated with car ownership. And so universal fare-free transit allows students to get around LA without having to think about how much it costs to get to wherever they want to go. And then from a safety perspective, Metro has invested in security and infrastructure improvements to keep riders safe and to also improve response during emergencies and evacuations.
Finally, if this is approved, what can we look forward to in transit in the next 5 years? In the next 2 years, we have everyone's favorite destination, LAX, where we can take the train all the way to the airport this year with the K-Line extension. And early next year or late this year, we have the Airport People Mover that allows another train to get you straight to your terminal and avoid the infamous loop in the LAX. We also have, of course, the Westwood UCLA station coming in 2027 with a D-Line that will allow you to reach K-Town, LACMA, downtown LA in less than 30 minutes. In the years after that, up to 2030, we have the projects for the 2028 Olympics, which includes bus lanes and bike paths around LA County. And these infrastructure projects are expected to survive long after the Olympics, and hopefully students are able to access them also out long after the Olympics. We also have other rail projects, including Link Union Station, which will make Metrolink and other regional services faster and easier to travel, as well as a completely new San Fernando transit line in around the late 2020s. After that, if the transit pass is renewed even further beyond 2030, we have the Sepulveda Transit Corridor, which includes a proposed UCLA station directly on campus around where the bus turnaround is right now, and will allow you to get to the San Fernando Valley in under 20 minutes, and other projects around like the K-Line extension, north to WeHo, the E-Line extension, east to Commerce, and the Southeast Gateway line all the way to Cerritos, next to Orange County. Next slide. That is the end of our presentation, and we're here for questions.
Thank you. Do any council members have any questions for the team? Bueno.
More than a question, just a comment of appreciation for the work that you guys have put into this presentation and with the original referendum and the current renewal. Speaking on my own personal experience, like when I was a prospective transfer student here, I remember seeing this referendum on the ballot and really hoping it would pass. So I was like, oh, if it passes, like I'll go to UCLA and I'll like take the bus everywhere. And I have taken the bus everywhere since then. So very much appreciative of the work you guys have already put into it, and very excited to see the work that you guys will continue to put into it, and excited to hopefully see it on the ballot.
Thank you so much. And it wouldn't be possible without this great team and also the original campaign team from the 2023 referendum.
Kiara?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for your presentation. I just want to echo a lot of what Mona had said. The research, extensive research you guys put into this of not only how this has impacted working. Okay. Has already positively impacted students the last several years, but also for like the future and the next several years. So thank you guys for putting this together. I know I personally have benefited a lot from it during my time here, and I am looking forward to seeing where this will go in the future.
Have you?
Yeah, just to echo everyone else's sentiments, this is a really great pass. Really happy that it might be on the ballot again. And still happy that even with the fee increase, it is still cheaper than anything you can get at Kirkhoff. So that's amazing.
Sheridan?
Yes, was also just going to echo the support. I personally use the pass a lot. I think it's great. But also a lot of the community service groups that I speak to, they use the pass to get to their sites for free. And community service is something that we don't want any barriers for. So I really appreciate all of your work, all of your advocacy for also like promoting the community service on campus. Happy to support and hope that this is on the ballot soon.
Tommy.
Yeah, just once again, this transit pass 100% has my support. Once again, just want to reiterate, you guys are an absolute testament to the power and success of student organizing and advocacy that can serve as a model for many other students here at UCLA. So even beyond this transit pass, your guys' impact is truly felt here on this campus. So really just want to thank you all for your work.
If there are no other comments, could you please get a vote? Oh, Joy, of course, sorry.
I move to approve the Universal Transit Pass renewal. Sorry, I move to approve the Universal Transit Pass renewal referendum language.
Second.
I think we have specific language you have to say if Jonathan can provide that.
Same thing, but like for the ballot on this 2025 spring election.
I move to approve the Universal Transit Pass renewal referendum language for the 2025 to 2026 ballot.
I second.
Joy motions, Tommy seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. And all abstaining, please raise your hands. With a 12 to 0 to 0 vote, the Universal Transit Pass renewal referendum language is passed. Yay. Thank you so much for coming and for presenting. We really appreciate all your work.
Thank you.
Moving on, we have our second referendum of the day. We have the Bruin Emergency Relief referendum language. If possible, due to time constraints, if we could expedite a bit, but feel free to mention whatever you think is relevant.
Yeah, so I'll literally just kind of give a brief breakdown of it and hopefully get this passed really quick. So basically, the Bruin Emergency Relief Referendum is a comprehensive emergency relief referendum which seeks to increase the hashtag UCLA wellness fee beginning in fall 2025, provide dedicated funding for CARE, the Campus Assault Resource and Education Program, the USAC Community Service Commission's Bruin Dine Initiative, and the creation of the USAC Student Wellness Commission Emergency Relief Fund. The breakdown of the referendum is kind of as follows. $2 per quarter to UCLA CARE, 30 cents per quarter to USAC CSC for Bruin Dine, 70 cents per quarter to USAC Student Wellness Commission Emergency Relief Fund. In accordance with university policy, 25% of the amount collected from this referendum will be returned to UCLA students for financial aid. But yeah, the need displayed amongst these three initiatives and entities is proven and kind of really present in our campus community. So we really think it's important that we come together and hopefully provide a student-driven solution. And that's what this referendum seeks to do. So yeah.
Thank you, Tommy. Do any council members have any comments or questions or additions? If none, could you please get them? Oh, Happy, sorry.
All good. Just wanted to ask a quick clarification question for the part about the funding that goes to CARE. Are there still or are the discussions still ongoing with UCLA administration / like the UC Regents in regards to properly funding CARE offices, or is the referendum or is the $2 per quarter per student part of this referendum meant to sort of like fully fund CARE just for transparency's sake?
This is by no means intended to be a permanent solution because obviously even the money that this referendum will generate is not enough to fully fund CARE. That being said, we are still pursuing or going to be pursuing advocacy to the UC Regents and to the state of California to provide the funding that is necessary for CARE and what they should have. So, yeah.
Yep, Jessica.
I just had two quick questions. The first one regarding CARE and also regarding ECRT. Have you received confirmation from those departments that they are in support of the referendum at the current proposed rates?
Yes, we have had meetings with both entities.
Okay, awesome. And then my second question for ECRT, because the way that the language is written, that it's the USAC Student Wellness Commission Emergency Relief Fund distributed by ECRT, Just wanting a clarification there. So this is not proposing to give money to ECRT for an existing service. This is actually establishing a new fund, or like what are the details on that? Because the two entities being combined in the one statement is a little bit confusing.
No, for sure. So when we had discussed with Gen 2 and then also ECRT, since they do have a variety of what's it called? Emergency relief services. Wanted to have that communication still be with the students from the office to have the student input and where is that being allocated? Like if there's a more immediate need that we can have. So that's sort of, I don't want to say middleman, but that connector was to also liaison the student voices to them, which we had discussed in our meeting. So Tommy, correct me if I'm wrong, but what we had discussed was opening up an account for that would be distributed to, that then we would that would be then given to them, like under a new account under the commission that would be then provided to the to ECRT. Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. So it would be like a new account under my commission.
Got you. So just this particular piece of it may need to be reworded. And again, we'll need to get feedback obviously from OP, but
for sure.
But specifically, anytime you're sending referendum funds to a campus department, the funds will typically get received by student government accounting, and then we facilitate that dispersal.
Gotcha.
But what we don't do is we wouldn't put the funds in SWC's account to then get dispersed to ECRT. So
okay.
So and that's also administratively on the SGA side. We might not be able to do that, but
that makes sense.
Yeah, but in general, so I would actually recommend maybe rewording that and just saying to ECRT for the establishment of a fund that will be distributed in consultation with SWC or something along those lines, and just for clarification's sake that essentially if you're giving referendum funds to ECRT, then it's going to just be dispersed directly to ECRT for their oversight. And that may or may not, again, we'll refer this to UCOP for their formal language review, but that one just may be an issue with the wording.
Could we use a microphone? Sorry.
I just changed it. So I put this newly established fund will be distributed directly to ECRT to provide financial resources to the economic crisis response team, which will distribute aid to students facing. So I just added that clarification of.
Yeah, you can try with that. And then again, when we get the feedback, we'll let you know if we need revisions on that language. Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Any other comments or concerns? Kiernan.
Yeah, quick question, kind of the same thing, just to make sure that the wording makes sense for the Brew and Dine part. Currently, Brew and Dine is going to be joining as a CSC project, so we're also planning on opening up an account under CSC for them to be using. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's fine if Brew and Dine is a project under CSC. So it would be similarly to how the GCGP referendum is for that purpose, but it's an initiative affiliated with the commission, so that's okay. It's just mainly for campus departments where it's an issue because the funds directly go there. It's not done in a way that's it's under the commission.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. And I also just wanted to say, fully support getting this referendum on the ballot. All great causes. Highly support.
If no other comments or concerns, could you please get a motion with the official language?
I move to add the proposed Bruin emergency relief referendum to the 2025 general election ballot.
I second.
Tamim motions, Tommy seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. And all abstaining, please raise your hands. With a 12-0 vote, that is approved. We're going to move on to line item D, the commuter parking permit scholarship guideline. We have Nico.
Hi, everyone. Josh, would you rather me pull it up or you pull it up? Oh, perfect. Thanks, Josh. So this is the commuter parking permit Spring 2025 Scholarships Application Guidelines. This was written in collaboration with myself, Mona the TSR, Joy FAC, and Kiara SWC. So it's our goal to provide students with a $50 to $100 partial reimbursement towards the parking permit fee for commuter students. Since commuters have to get here somehow, and a lot of them do rely on driving. And currently, the commuter student parking permit is $312.18 per quarter, which adds up to nearly $1,000 throughout the year, which you just spend on parking. So that's kind of a huge cost, and we think that students shouldn't have to pay that. So this is like our first step towards advocating for free student parking on campus. This is fine. The funding committee is going to be made up of our four offices or our four offices. So anyone from the office can be on the funding committee per the commissioner's discretion. And then for the guidelines, if you scroll down, first and foremost, all UCLA undergraduate community students who are currently enrolled are welcome to apply. And then for neutrality, no USAC officers are eligible since we have to vote on these allocations. And then no one from our four offices are eligible since there would obviously be a conflict of interest there. And then this is open to each student. Each student can receive one reimbursement per academic year. Applications are due Friday of week 2 for each quarter. The partial reimbursement will be in the form of a check, which will be issued by SGA. And then applications are reviewed based on merit and application effort. And then funding amount will ultimately be impacted by number of applicants, permit type purchased, and availability of funds. And I think that's pretty much all of the major highlights. And then the application is linked at the top if we want to go over that, although I don't know if we have to.
Unless anyone specifically wants to go over it. Ramsey? Yeah, go ahead.
Hey Nico, I just had a question about it. So who's going to review the applications, and then how are you guys going to guarantee that Part 7 of the guidelines are followed?
Part 7, viewpoint neutral basis. So for the first part of your question, the funding committee is made up of just like our offices. So either the commissioner themselves, or in Mona's case, the representative, or each of us can elect someone from our office, like internally, to review the application. So it would be like one representative per office. And then the application only asks one like paragraph question. Let me pull it up. I can read it to you guys. Where was it? Okay, maybe I can't pull it up. Did I close out with a tab? I totally did. Okay, let me let me pull up the question. I just have to. I'm sorry. 1 second. Okay. Oh, wait, no. Okay, I'm so sorry. I closed off all my tabs on accident, but here it is. Okay, so the one question we ask is, how would this financial assistance benefit you? How would this financial assistance benefit you as a community student? So that's the only thing we're looking at. And then to remain neutral, viewpoint neutral, we're just going to take names off and only look at that one paragraph when reviewing applications. And then once we make our decisions, we would then go and actually look at people's names and UIDs for all the paperwork.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks, Nico.
Of course.
Kiara, followed by Jonathan.
Nico, I'm wondering, just curious, should we add, I know you're just talking about reviewing amongst our offices and such. Should we put that, I'm looking at number 7, applications will be reviewed. Should we say by who, in that clause, perhaps? Not sure if anyone else has thoughts on that.
Number 7 is just the general SGS
you're right.
statement that I just copy and paste it from every other funding body.
Oh, gotcha.
Jonathan?
Yeah, can we either in the guidelines section put that it is only for parking permits purchased through UCLA transportation that are eligible, or put in the no form of electronic payments vibe? My behind this is I don't want someone that pays $100 to park at their apartment and they send their roommate a Venmo for $100 and then they apply for this and they're like, this is my parking fee. Why can't you reimburse me, et cetera, et cetera? Please and thank you.
Of course. I'm just trying to find like the appropriate. Okay. And then it was like parking permits must be purchased. You said through UCLA Transportation, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions for Nico? Seeing none, could we please get a motion? Oh no.
Motion to approve the commuter parking permit scholarship guidelines.
Second.
Mona motions, Joy seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. And all abstaining, please raise your hands. With an 8-0 to 1 vote, that is approved. We're going to move on to AAC's Book for Bruins. Is it language or sorry, allocation?
Okay, so 2 weeks ago when I was a proxy for Chris Espino, USAC passed the scholarship guidelines for Books for Bruins as well as the application. So since then, AAC has spent time reviewing applications and we are awarding full scholarships to 38 students to pay for the entirety of their Bruin 1 access. There was supposed to be a spreadsheet. Oh, thank you. Okay, cool. So that spreadsheet just shows the 38 students that were selected to receive the Books for Bruin scholarship, which is $129 to go towards Bruin 1 access. And so what I was told is we just need to approve that list.
Could a council member motion for this, please? Could a council member motion to approve them?
Will you do the total amount, please?
Do we have to, or because it's not a funding body? Okay, could someone get the total amount?
It's 4,902.
Kara.
Okay. A motion to approve the AAC Books for Bruins allocations for $4,902.
I second.
Kiara motions, Ramsey seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. And all abstaining, please raise your hands. With a 10-0 to 0 vote, that is approved. We're going to move on to the next agenda item. We have my bylaw change. I said this on the group last week, but just for clarity, there have been some changes from CRC. Basically, what the bylaw change is adding is under the resolutions clause. I forgot exactly which one it is. Council members will be required to give a verbal presentation. It's not a special presentation. It will have a section at the end of officer reports for resolution updates. So primary sponsors of resolutions will be required to give 2 updates to council. One is 2 to 3 weeks after, and the other one is 6 to 7 weeks after. It's just to ensure that resolutions are being followed up with, and that we're putting out quality and impactful resolutions, as well as following up on them. So does anyone have any questions or concerns?
Yeah, I have some.
Tell me.
All right. So as it is written on, all right, I had notes on it. Let me pull those up real quick. All right, so my first major concern is the burden it places on the primary resolution sponsors. Requiring 2 formal presentations within a set timeline imposes a significant burden on sponsors, especially if their resolution requires ongoing advocacy work or engagement with external parties. Progress in activism or policy change isn't always linear, and this requirement may create unnecessary pressure to produce updates even when there's little new information. It will also make for longer council meetings, as we already know. We're in a really long one right now. And the burden, I also think, should not just be on the primary sponsors, anybody who sponsors the resolution in any capacity, as you are essentially signing on to it. Also, I have an issue with the judicial board clause. Referring sponsors to the judicial board for failing to meet the presentation requirements introduces an adversarial process that seems excessive for what should be an accountability measure. This could discourage students from taking bold stances on controversial issues out of fear, punitive actions. Instead of rigid deadlines and punitive measures, a more effective approach could be involving flexible reporting timelines, informal updates, or voluntary progress reports, maybe even just to the officer reports already published. This would balance accountability with practicality and ensure sponsors are supported rather than punished.
Sorry, Josh, before you go ahead. CRC changed a big part of the amendment this morning. So it's no longer going to be a special presentation. We're going to have a specific, after officer reports, there's going to be resolution updates, which is going to be an informal short update from the primary sponsors of the resolution. To your second point, if given that moving forward isn't always linear and that advocacy works in different ways, given any circumstances, council could always vote to have the presentation be cancelled or postponed. So if there are any situations or circumstances where updates aren't available, or any other circumstances which may necessitate there not being a presentation, then that could just be cancelled. For the judicial part thing, all our bylaws are J-Board holds us accountable for all our bylaws anyways. So that clause is basically, it's just a formality. Regardless if it's there or not, J-Board, anyone can be referred to J-Board for violating our bylaws. So that's not really that relevant. Microphone, please. It's on the on the form.
Sorry, I was looking at the agenda.
Josh, you have anything else? Sorry.
In the group chat, I don't know why I put the link in the agenda to update it, but it's not showing on anyone else's screen except for mine.
It was showing for me.
Hold on, give me like 1 second. I've been see if it works.
And Josh, did CRC approve it? Was it 5-0? Okay. Did you guys get access?
I still. Yeah, whenever.
Wait, can you all see it now? I just linked the new one on the agenda.
Could you just share it, Josh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the updated version. That CRC reviewed and passed, if you want to reread it. There you go.
My question is just in terms of like, I guess we could put it on our officer report, but for resolutions addressing like, I guess just like governing bodies of decision makers that like make their decisions really quickly. Like for example, like let's say the UC Regents agenda just came out and they're coming in like less than a week, I think, or something like that. Or if we're talking to like, for example, like Westwood Neighborhood Council, I think like we can put out, like if we do put out a resolution, any of us in support or in opposition, at the end of the day, it's just a statement and there can't necessarily be any follow-up. Like, for example, the resolution introduced by ISR Tamim, like it was a statement from us as council opposing the tuition hikes of international and out-of-state students. And I guess like I think it's great that we do it on the officer report, but I'm concerned about doing a whole presentation on it because like, what is the presentation going to be? Like the UC regions?
There isn't going to be a presentation.
Okay,
It's going to
great.
be like a quick report. And if there's ever a situation where a resolution doesn't necessitate updates, like Tamim's resolution, we could always just vote not to have it, given at our discretion.
Okay, great.
Josh?
Okay, just to clarify what CRC discussed, it wouldn't be like on individual officer reports. There would be a new officer report under ISR. I think they're last under the officer report list, just dedicated to resolutions. And that's where people could provide like written updates that they would also be required to share verbally 2 to 3 weeks and 6 to 7 weeks after the resolution passes. And like Adam was saying, if like it's a type of resolution that's more of like solidarity statement or something like that doesn't really warrant any updates in the future, then council can remove that requirement with a vote.
And generally, anything that we sign on to that's just not just for show, but just giving a statement would generally be a sign-on letter, whereas resolutions tend to be more action-based stuff, which is why they necessitate updates. Does anyone else have any concerns, Jessica?
I was just going to add food for thought for the discussion, that it's also best practice anytime you write a resolution to have some follow-up in terms of like if the resolution is regarding a particular campus entity or an external entity that you're also then sending that resolution to that recipient to make sure that they're aware of what your statement is. So sometimes the follow-up can also be, that we sent it, it was received, we got an email back confirming receipt, or we sent it and we got no response. Sometimes that is also helpful, just to know that after you all pass a resolution as council, it doesn't just go on your website and then nowhere else.
Any other comments or concerns? Bueno.
Just out of curiosity, as I'm having a little bit of difficulty like comprehending the document by reading it off of like the big screen and someone else's laptop, would it be possible to like share like a more finalized version of this bylaw change with the suggestions accepted, that we can then access like on our own to read again before voting?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, we're going to move on to our next item, which is a resolution for the renaming of SAC. We have Diego.
Hi, everyone. It's a letter in support of renaming the Student Activity Center to the Lotus Huerta Hall. Javi kind of initiated something similar with the renaming of Campbell Hall to Carter Huggins Hall. And considering that Adam serves on the Committee on Honorific Naming, I think right now is a great opportunity. Also, just considering we're going into spring break, just in terms of like what inspired this, I'm planning on submitting an application to this committee for the naming of SAC to the Lotus Huerta Hall. For a few years now, a lot of community members within UCLA and outside of UCLA have been requesting Block to have this discussion with the University of California President Drake. I have honestly, for transparency, I have no idea if this conversation has even taken place between Gene Block, if it took place between Gene Block and Drake. And now I think it's really important to submit this letter, one, because we're going into spring break and I didn't have another opportunity, so I'm sorry. So I had to add it to the agenda. But essentially what this proposal has been going on for a few years now is to rename SAC to the Lotus Huerta Hall, who, for those of you who don't know, was or is an American labor leader, a civil rights activist, and she was a former UC Regent. A lot of folks don't know that about her. And I can essentially just read a little bit of the letter. So the Student Activity Center currently houses critical resources, including the Bruin Resource Center, the Community Programs Office, the LGBTQ Campus Resource Center, undocumented student programs, and student-led outreach and retention efforts, each reflecting UCLA's vision to commit to diversity and equity. Since the university uses the UC Office of the President policy on naming university properties, academic and non-academic programs, and facilities to interpret merit distinctions, the Undergraduate Student Association Council asserts that Ms. Huerta has earned her distinction as a result of serving the university in an important administrative capacity that warrants recognition of exceptional contributions to the welfare of the university. And this letter joins the multiple calls of support from UCLA administrators and leaders. The proposal has been sponsored by Abel Valenzuela Jr., former Public Affairs School Dean Gary Segura, UCLA Labor Center Director Ken Wong, and even members of the California State legislature, including State Senator Maria Elena Durazo. And so considering that UCLA is on its way to becoming the nation's most highly selective Hispanic serving institution, it is incredibly important to consider the incredible value that building naming effort will have on the sense of community and belonging that Latinx students.
How's this? Can you hear us? We getting Zoom volume now?
We can hear. Yes.
Thank you. It might be a little bit more echoey, but that'll solve the problem for now, I think. All right, sorry, you guys.
Does anyone have any comments or concerns for Jacob? Seeing none, can we get a motion? Bueno.
I move to sign on to the letter in support for renaming of Student Activity Center to Dolores Huerta Hall.
Second.
When a motion, have a second. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. And all abstaining, please raise your hands. With an 11-0 votes, that is approved. Next, we have Tommy with the Westwood Neighborhood Council.
Yeah, so basically, just to sum it up, to be voted on tomorrow UCLA is currently represented by the North Westwood Neighborhood Council, a council that was established in 2018 following student advocacy, specifically to ensure that the voices of the UCLA community were adequately represented in local decision-making. That being said, tomorrow, the Westwood Neighborhood Council, which exists kind of adjacent to the North Westwood Neighborhood Council, has put up an agenda item where they plan on motioning to extend their council's boundaries to take back or kind of overlap with our council, the Westwood Village. So basically, it would not only be represented now by the North Westwood Neighborhood Council, but also by the Westwood Neighborhood Council, which in turn would lower the UCLA's community's input on kind of local governance in the village, given that we have a large student presence currently on the North Westwood Neighborhood Council. So this letter is basically condemning the Westwood Neighborhood Council's attempt at expanding their boundaries.
Any comments or questions for Tommy? Seeing none, could we get a motion, please? Bueno.
I move to sign on to the letter in opposition to the Westwood Neighborhood Council's 2025 boundary expansion proposal.
I second. Bueno motion, Diego seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. And all abstaining, please raise your hands. With 8-0 vote, that is approved. Next, we have EVP discretionary funds transfer. Javi.
Hello, hello, hello. Okay, I'm gonna screen share real quick. Please work. Okay, you're working. You're working. Okay, thank you. Okay. Yeah, so this is just going to be a very last minute proposal for consideration for USAC discretionary, considering that all of our other typical pathways, aka the funding bodies, are kind of zilch. But I'll go over that in this presentation right now. Okay, so what is the USSA? Stands for the United States Students Association. It is essentially a federal version of what the UC Students Association does. So helps serve as the largest national student-led organization founded on the principles of equity, access, and justice. More specifically, the USSA believes that education is a right that should be accessible for any student regardless of their socioeconomic background and identity. This would actually be the first time in years that the coalition has been able to re-meet and organize amongst one another, hence why we are going to be proposing for the legislative conference that's going to be happening this spring break. So in about a week, 2 weeks or now, 2 weeks from now, excuse me. And so the legislative conference, otherwise known as LegCon, helps bring students together to develop advocacy skills and tactics through lobbying, community organizing, and building long-lasting national student movements. And this year's LegCon will be in Washington, D.C. from March 21st to 25th, so about half of our spring break. And so some priorities for the UCLA delegation that we hope to bring to the table, focus on immigration, so the right to work, especially as our office is working with the undocumented student-led network to reintroduce opportunity for all into the state legislature, either for this legislative cycle or the next legislative cycle. Also, just on autonomy and civil liberties, especially with what we have seen this past week with the Columbia graduate student Mahmoud, who was essentially disappeared by the U.S. government for speaking out against the genocide going on in Palestine. Despite being a green card holder, he is not undocumented. But, as many things, it does not just stop at, folks who are non-citizens. So it is equally as important to help bring this conversation forward for folks, especially those who are currently unable to do so safely. We also want to advocate on behalf of basic needs access, and we're dividing this into food access and housing access. Free speech, again, connecting back to the issue that I brought up with immigration and civil liberties. Free speech has been going under attack for the past 2 years now, between two presidential administrations. So that is a pertinent issue that we would like to bring to the table, especially considering our unique situation here at UCLA. Also, just strength through national coalition building as well. Now more than ever, we need these ties and whatnot, especially supporting some of our most marginalized that are not just in California, not just here at UCLA, but also back home where many of our students are from. So in this way, we hope to sort of like be able to strengthen these ties and also help get UCSA back up to the level that it can with its federal level advocacy in order to make those issues a lot more easier to advocate for in the future through initiatives like UC Hill Day, which will be happening in the spring quarter. Okay, so here is the start of the cost. So the estimated hotel stay is around $1,800. That is the requested amount that we are going to be making just to, like make it nice numbers. And then the cost for flights is around $2,000 for round trip. This will be for 4 individuals. So me, as EVP, and then my 3 heads of staff, are requesting to go on this trip. And so the requested total, or the requested amount that we are making is around $3,800, for council's consideration. And I believe, yes, that's the last slide. So if anyone has any questions, we would really appreciate y'all's feedback. If not, then we can maybe go to a vote. But open to questions.
I have a couple of concerns just on the pricing of it all.
Yeah.
2,800 is a lot. It's more than half what non-referendum offices get for an entire year, just for one trip. So just wondering if there's any way we could maybe lower the cost, or if possible, lower the number of people going.
I mean, right now it is that these prices are essentially non-negotiable because they are kind of the cheapest options that we can find. The hotel is actually being offered at a discounted rate for students who are participating in this conference. And then, you know, flights are flights. Unfortunately, that's kind of how the economy works. And whatnot. So there's not really much flexibility there, unfortunately. If we want to talk about potentially lowering the delegation size, we could. But preferably we would be able to have all four individuals come, me as, you know, the external vice president representing on a variety of different like local, state, and government bodies and individuals. Our internal head of staff serves as our organizing director for UCSA, so it is very relevant that she goes on this trip in order to help with that effort. And our external head of relations deals with, you know, like government relations. He'll be helping a lot with, you know, scheduling meetings that we're supposed to be having with our elected representatives. Yeah.
That's good. Does any other council members have concerns or comments? Bueno?
More so just as a general question, because I think I'm very much in support of this conference happening and our voices as students being represented by the EVP office, but how much money do we have left in discretionary?
So it's kind of iffy, but rough estimate is 15 to 20K.
Thank you.
Jonathan gave me a confirmation on how much money we had left last week. I'm forgetting the amount off the top of my head, but if John.
31K, but that was before the amount that was allocated to BRI. We aren't using all the money for BRI. I think we're only 10 to 12K out of the 20K allocated, which is why we're sitting at around 15/20.
Okay.
Any other comments or concerns? Seeing none, could we get a motion?
Yeah.
I motion to approve the discretionary funds transfer to the USAC EVP office.
A second, we have language we have to use, sorry.
Oh, what was the total amount again?
3,800.
How much?
3,800.
Okay. For a total of 3,800, I motion to approve the discretionary funds transfer to the USAC EVP office.
A second. Kiara motions, Josh seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. And all abstaining, please raise your hands. With an 11 to 0 to 1 vote, that is approved. Last but not least, we have Josh's bylaw change. I believe it's pretty simple, so unless there's anything you want to add.
Yeah, I'll just summarize it super quickly. Basically, UCLA reached out to us in the fall about establishing this new committee. We already made 2 appointments for this year, and it's a 2-year term. It's a consent item, and this is just formalizing into our bylaws so future councils can continue to make the appointments in subsequent years. Basically, it's just a group of students that advise UCLA on how to maintain and advance Career Learn, and they escalate any significant issues to the Academic Technology Committee for decision making.
Any concerns or comments? Seeing none, I adjourn this meeting at 9:36 p.m. Thank you guys.